Good day, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Resurrection Day. Happy Easter. I woke up this morning full of gratitude. Gratitude, one, because I woke up this morning, but because what this day is. This day is the day that we remember our Lord Jesus Christ's sacrifice for us. He sacrificed his life so that we can have life. And there's nothing that I did to deserve this. And there's definitely nothing that I could do to repay that debt. But I am just grateful that we have a Savior who was willing to give his life for us. But I also woke up with gratitude because today, on what is it? I'm about to say August 12th, April 12th, this is 10 years since I was declared cancer free from my breast cancer. Don't look at my breast. It's one of those things that when people say breast cancer, the first thing that people do is look at their breast. And I can see right here that my bra is kind of showing. This probably wasn't the best bra, but I put on a bra, which is something that I hadn't really been doing. So, today I decided to get up and get dressed for Easter. I actually have on a full face. I have on foundation. I have on concealer. You probably can't even see all that. But I did my full face today because I was ready to celebrate both, as I said, Resurrection Sunday, and the fact that I am 10 years cancer free from breast cancer. And so I was thinking, what can I do? There's something, because I'll be celebrating by myself, right? But I was thinking to myself, this is an opportunity for me to share a little bit of my story. Some of you have read my book at this point. Some of you may have heard me read it before, but I kind of want to just share a little bit from it because this is where I am, 10 years removed from breast cancer, which is such a blessing. And I did not even realize that during that time that I would still be here. And one of the things that I want to share, first of all, comes from my foreword. I had Dr. Bertice Berry, who wrote the foreword for me. I was so grateful to her because she just offered. I was like, really? So one of the things that she says is that The Beautiful Journey, which is the title of my book, is not another one of those books about some isolated incident for someone you may know or not know. It's not about cancer, illness, or loss. It's about transformation. It's about finding yourself through your struggle, your life, and reclaiming the abundant joy you were always meant to have. Into each life, a little rain must fall. When it does, may you also become your beautiful true self. I read that this morning. I'm reading my book again. For those of you who don't know, this is what it looks like. But I'm reading my book again because I had read a book this past week. It was a great book by someone who I really respect and admire. But when I read the book, I was thinking, there's so much. And I mean, this is me not being critical, but me being observant. I thought that they could have did a better job with some of the book. But it reminded me that my book is just as awesome, if not more. My story is my story, but it's not just for me. It's for anybody who's facing adversity. And in this day, we are all facing adversity. We are all going through this same thing, this same coronavirus struggle. And so I said, my book is a great opportunity for people to be able to explore themselves, to do some introspective work, and also go on their own beautiful journey as we go through this adversity together. But I wanted to read from my first chapter. And with each page or each chapter that I have, there is a quote or a scripture or something that represents what that chapter is about. And so the first chapter is called My Story. And it starts with, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And that comes from Matthew 6:34. Thursday, October 8th, 2009 was officially the worst day of my life. Besides it being the birthday of my deceased sister, Crystal, It was also the day that I received the worst news. You have cancer. Wait, did I hear her correctly? What was I supposed to say to that? I was completely caught off guard and stunned. While trying to process what I just heard, all these emotions came over me. This wasn't the news I expected to hear, and of course, it's not the news that I wanted to hear. My heart was physically aching. There I was, sitting at the Cleveland Clinic in a patient's room with my childhood friend Cassandra. She was recuperating from a complication due to a previous operation. Just the night before, she had to have emergency surgery and barely escaped death. As we sat there talking about everything that had taken place with her health crisis, my cell phone rang. I looked at it and noticed that it was a call from my doctor's office. Although I was expecting a call to discuss the results of my breast biopsy, I thought it wouldn't be for another couple of days. Anxiously and somewhat nervously, I answered the phone. Hello? On the other end, I heard a voice say, Andrea? I replied, yes, this is she. After confirming that it was indeed me on the phone, my doctor begrudgingly told me the results. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but your biopsy came back positive. Is she saying that? Wait, what? I was shocked and confused. Huh? What are you saying? Are you saying I have cancer? Those words didn't even sound right coming out of my mouth. I was hoping my ears were playing a trick on me. Perhaps I didn't hear what I thought I did. Yeah, that's it. I just misunderstood what she said. She answered, yes, you have breast cancer. I'm very sorry to have to give you this bad news, but I wanted to let you know as soon as possible. In that moment, I was scared to death. I was scared of death. I felt sad and unsure about what my future held. Tears began to roll down my face. Cassandra noticed how distraught I was, and she tried to console me. In her haste to comfort me, she yanked off her EKG patches and somehow managed to get out of her bed and walk over to me. She began rubbing my back and continuously asked me what's going on. I hadn't told her that I had a biopsy performed on my right breast. I couldn't even form the words to tell her what the doctor said because I was crying so hard. Eventually, I was able to mumble, I have cancer. That's my acting. You know, I auditioned for Tyler Perry, just letting you all know. I'm not even sure how she was able to understand what I was saying underneath all the sobbing. She kept rubbing my back and telling me everything would be all right. Some seconds later, a nurse came rushing into the room. She was in a panic. She thought my girlfriend had died because the EKG monitors showed that her heart had flatlined. Once the nurse saw my girlfriend was alive, she asked what was going on. Cassandra told her that I just found out that I had breast cancer. The nurse walked over to me and brought some tissue. As I wiped my tears and cleaned my runny nose, she reached out her arms and pulled me towards her and gave me a tight hug. Afterwards, she grabbed my hands, looked me in my eyes, and calmly said, I know that it's difficult being diagnosed with cancer, but that just means you now have the responsibility of being a survivor. I'm going to go back up there, keep sliding down. What was she saying? I have the responsibility of being a survivor. I looked her dead in her eyes and asked, what did you mean by that? She said, being diagnosed with cancer doesn't necessarily mean death. Now you have the responsibility to fight your hardest to win this battle. And once you do, you can help others do the same. Her words struck a chord with me. I looked at her and thought, you're right. In that moment, she brought joy inside my tears. My entire perspective changed about my diagnosis. I wiped my tears and accepted my new responsibility to be a survivor. Now, those words, you have breast cancer, didn't have the same effect on me. Being diagnosed with breast cancer did not necessarily mean I would be defeated. I could be victorious. I would be victorious. Unfortunately, I do not know the name of that angel disguised as a nurse who came into my room that day, but I am forever indebted to her. She changed my life. At that moment, her words gave me hope, and I welcomed my new role, a survivor. Even though I somewhat was feeling better about my situation, the worst part wasn't over. I still had to tell my mom about my diagnosis. How was I going to muster up the courage to tell her that I had breast cancer? Just like Cassandra, my mother wasn't aware that I had a biopsy performed. I didn't think there was a need to worry her about nothing, since that's exactly what I thought it was, nothing. For the past few months, I've been experiencing sharp stabbing pains in my right breast. I decided I would figure out what was going on with me. I searched the internet for pain in breast and had pretty much figured out what I thought what was going on. After my self-diagnosis of fibroadenoma, that's what I thought it was, I confidently went into my biopsy, knowing that what was causing this constant shooting pain. Never did I think it could be breast cancer. That thought didn't even cross my mind until the biopsy was performed. During the biopsy, the doctor mentioned she wasn't sure what the mass was. It could be cancer, but I won't know until I receive the results from the biopsy. That's when I began to second guess my self-diagnosis. When she said that it could be cancer, it really hit me. Could this really be something much more than what I thought? Something much more serious? Although the doctor's tone was calm when she said that she wasn't sure if the mass was cancer, the rest of her conversation, her actions, and the actions of the nursing staff pretty much told a different story. The nurse who assisted with the biopsy was rubbing my back, holding my hands, and telling me, if it's breast cancer, it's curable. She also gave me a hug as I left the procedure room. I was confused. I was scared. Of course, a few tears ran down my face, but I kept telling myself everything would be okay. There was still hope that the results were going to come back negative, right? Well, looking back, I now know that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 39. After I received that phone call, my thoughts were, now what? Where do I go from here? One minute I'm enjoying life, and the next I'm having to face death. You have to be kidding me. My life changed that quickly in the blink of an eye. I have reflection questions at the end of each chapter. And for this one, I have, what were the circumstances where your life changed in an instant? What was your reaction? Who did you tell? And what was your new responsibility? And when I think about this chapter and just my whole experience through cancer, it's pretty similar to what we're going through now. Of course, this is different. I get that. But I'm saying how life can change in a moment. In a moment. 2 months ago, even 5 weeks ago, people were still traveling, enjoying life. We were all outside having a good time, hanging out with people. And now all of a sudden, we are in the house. In the house. And just like me going through my story and sharing it with people and going through the journey of cancer, the transformation occurred, and it was necessary. It was necessary. I needed to become the person I am now. And I talk about in the book how I love the person that I was before, but this new me, I respect and admire that much more. And I just want to ask you, when you come out of this, will you be a better version of yourself, or will you be the same? You know, there's nothing to be said. I mean, we all know that this is going to be different when we come out of this. Life is going to be different. And I just want to share this thing going back to April 12th, 2010, and what I wrote in the book, which my book is based on my blogs. So I blogged as I went through all of this. And so that's where a lot of the book comes from. And then I reflect from today's perspective. But I wanted to share with you what I wrote on Monday, April 12th. It was 186 days since my diagnosis and 12 hours before my surgery. I'm trying not to cry much, but as I write this, I can't help it. I'm crying because I can't believe the day is finally here. Hopefully and prayerfully, this is my last day with cancer forever. The whole process has been a roller coaster. The ups and the downs, the back and forth. The only thing that hasn't changed is God's grace and mercy. I can't wait until the next time I can write you all. I will be cancer free. My surgery is scheduled for today at 12:30. I had to stop eating at midnight and hope I don't get too hungry while I'm waiting. When I'm hungry, that's when I get irritable. As I wrote that, I had to laugh out loud because that's the least of my worries. I will have to stay in the hospital overnight, but other than that, I'm not sure about the next steps. I know that I will have drains, so it'll take some time for recuperation. I don't have a song off the top of my head or in my heart right now, but I do want to go back to my favorite saying. Through all of this mess, there's a gift to be found. There have been many gifts throughout all of this. I've learned so much about myself through the process. Even though I thought I knew myself pretty well after 39 years, God is something else. It's amazing how he would use all our circumstances for good. As I mentioned before, I never asked the question, why me? Nor will I. It really doesn't matter at this point because it is me. I will admit, I still can't believe this is my life. I just hope through all of this, I get out of it what I'm supposed to and that I don't lose it. Well, that's it for now. I'm sleepy and getting a little nervous as I think about my surgery. I hope I can fall asleep. And I read that part because it's so timely for today. This mess that we're in, there is definitely something on the other side of this to bless us. There is a blessing on the other side, some gift to be found. And just as I was praying that I hope that I don't change after, going through the cancer experience and going back to life and to going back to life, I just know that this is the same thing that we're dealing with now. Like, we should not change and go back to who we were. This experience is to teach us something. And then I'm just going to share this little bit, which is my personal reflection after I had gone through this experience when I was writing the book. Because my book, the way it's laid out, I have the journal entries where I talk about what I was going through as I was going through it. So you get my real, raw emotions. But I also have reflection where I come from today's time and reflect on what I was going through and how I feel about it. So I want to read the reflection for this chapter. As I read this journal update on my blog, I remember how overly excited and grateful I was to be cancer-free. Surgery was over, and now I could begin to find my new normal. New normal, right? We are all going to have a new normal. Even though I may not have questioned why me, I still didn't understand why. Well, maybe I did understand. I needed to change. I needed to find my purpose. I never doubted that I would be able to handle whatever came my way, but I would be telling a fib if I said this journey wasn't going to be challenging. It was. However, I built a lot of character going through this battle, and I hope the person that I became as a result of this stays with me forever. And then the questions for this one, the reflection questions are, what challenging situation have you encountered that's helped you build your character? And then the second is, what are 3 character traits that you want others to associate with you? So I just wanted to share that because I realized as I was reading that other book that my book, and I mean, I've read my books. My book, I have 2 books, but this book I probably have read. That first year, I probably read it like 20 times. And the reason I read it so much is because it reminded me as to how good and gracious God is. And I really did not want to forget that. And I'm thankful that I have the faith that I do, especially in times like this. Not to say that I'm not anxious with everything that's going on. I'm stressed just like the next person. It's very stressful when I have to go outside and go get groceries and go through that entire process. But what I do know is that God is faithful and his word stands true. And so I was trying to think of what I could do in regards to celebrating my 10 years being cancer free. And what I thought of is that I could sell my book for, it's normally $20. So I can sell it for $15. So if you're interested in purchasing my book, you can go and Cash App me. My Cash App is, so wait a minute, let me take that back. Normally I sell it for $25 if I have to ship it, right? Because it costs to ship. So if I take $5 off, it will be $20. So that will include shipping. So if you want to purchase a copy of my book for $20, you can go to PayPal, which my PayPal is Andrea D. Campbell. And my Cash App is $Andrea D. Campbell. And you can do that and I can get it out to you as soon as possible because I do know that this book will bless you, especially with what we're going through. This happened to be my story. But as Dr. Bertice Berry said in the foreword, it is not about my cancer, my illness, and I'm not even claiming it's mine, but the cancer, the illness, and the loss that I dealt with. It is about transformation. And we are all in a space where we need to be transforming. There's a reason that we're dealing with what we're dealing with, and a reason we're on this gracious pause that we've been given. So I just ask you again, if you want to purchase my book, you can either PayPal me, Cash App me, and then I just need your name and address so that I can send it to you. I would appreciate it. I really just want to bless someone. All righty. So you all have a wonderful rest of Resurrection Sunday, and I'll be back sometime this week. Take care. Love to you all. Bye-bye.